We want to give a warm welcome to Miss Keri Faith. She is our guest speaker. We're excited to have her. This is the first time that we've been able to have her present here in the Solano County Empower Hour. So we give you a warm welcome. Keri Faith is an author, speaker, and conscious consultant and coach. She supports the harmony between mind, body, and spirit. She is a host on the Keri Faith on Purpose podcast, is an advocate for the importance of mindset and mind health and overall wellness, and the power of the pillars of positivity for spiritual health and mental well-being. She will discuss the pillars and why they're important during this time of change, and she would love to share her personal transformation from experience of a lifetime of illness, both in the physical and mental capacity, and how to overcome as it was created in her mission to help others to pursue their purpose with faith and self-belief. She will offer an invitation to community and membership as well. Thank you so much, Keri. Again, we're excited to have you and welcome.
Thank you. It truly is an honor. I want to take you all to one of my first memories. And I remember being there at the door, crying and screaming. And all I knew is that my stomach ache would not go away. And I didn't want to go to school. Do you remember your first memory? What was it? And what feelings do you have associated with it? And how does that memory keep replaying over and over in your head or even your life? That memory, that first memory that we have, is always an integral part of our being and who we are. I know that memory for me was the root of my anxiety, or at least it was a side effect of it. Memories are very funny, aren't they? They either positively charge us or they negatively charge you. And really all that a memory is but a thought, a feeling, and an emotion. And according to Joe Dispenza, he says an emotion is just residual energy from the past. Therefore, you might be siphoning energy from your past into the present, which the past doesn't really exist. It's just an illusion of the past. And even better yet, how often does your energy, does your worry about the future actually take away from the present moment and the pleasure of being in the moment? How worried are you about that next big leap in your business or doing that next adventure? Or how long have you been waiting for the next big breakthrough? Because anxiety and overwhelm, you might be avoiding what you really need to do just because of this feeling or emotion from the past. Today, I really just want to first thank you for having me in this Empower Hour. My name is Keri Faith Knudsen, and I consider myself a positive change agent. What does that mean exactly, right? I believe we are all here to make a difference and honor our soul's purpose, and that's exactly why you're in this group and exactly why you started a business or you're starting a new business or a new adventure. And I believe we're all here to learn, grow, and evolve. And entrepreneurship definitely puts us into those situations, right? But you didn't really always know what to do or how to do everything. And you still might not know how. I think that in each new venture that we take, sometimes those feelings and emotions from the past prevent us from doing the actions and achieving the goals and the dreams that we have in the future. Why is that? Our thoughts get the best of us, and I know that my thoughts always get the best of me. Our negative thinking sometimes creates those actions, results, and behaviors that don't support us to where we want to go. Your dreams, goals, and desires are really contingent on the negative versus positive thoughts that are endlessly flowing through our head from the past, present, and future. In preparing to talk to you ladies and gentlemen, I found myself in this very cycle of worrying, doubting, and then questioning. Even the greatest entrepreneurs and speakers get into this cycle, I think, right? But if you are just starting your entrepreneurship journey, you might be having more doubts, or even if you're pivoting or doing something new, the questioning of how keeps getting repeated instead of sometimes, of course I can do it. I've done it before, right? But it's up to you to let go of the negative and lean into the faith. And that's exactly really what I want to talk to you about today. It's about letting go of the past. Because this time in history, December 2020, and even the whole year of 2020 is going to make funny impressions towards our future, because we all, I feel like, have gone through some negative things throughout the year, right? More than perhaps years of the past. And those negative memories are going to siphon energy to our future selves. And I don't want that to happen to you or me. I'm just like you and everyone else, trying to figure out where I was before 2020, where I am today, and what the future will bring. And now more than ever, you are empowered to do that. That's why we're here at the Empower Hour, correct? But first, I want to take you back to one of my first memories at 3 years old. I was standing at the front door, and I was screaming and crying and kicking and saying, I don't want to go to school. I don't want to go to school. The reason I was so upset was because I had a stomach ache. These stomach aches prevented me from wanting to even leave my house. And it's really because I was stuck in this cycle of negative thinking, and that feeling of sadness was with me constantly throughout my younger years. Do you remember any sadness from your childhood? You might not have had chronic pain like me, but there might be some type of sadness that you've experienced as a child. Then I remember in 6th grade, and I was stuck in my bed all afternoon and evening while I was supposed to be completing a project that was due the very next day. I didn't get to complete that project and assignment. I was suffering from a debilitating migraine. And in between the time of chronic stomach aches and headaches, I started feeling more and more pain everywhere. You might not have this chronic pain like I did as a child, or maybe you did. Or you might have chronic pain now, but you might have picked up something along the way of your life's journey that you weren't proud of and has placed some negative energy, a thought, a feeling, an emotion into your present moment of time. And for me, it was shame and fear of living with emotional pain and sadness. If you have any shame or guilt or fear from your past, I want to invite you into letting go and propelling forward. But it's really easier said than done. The migraines and headaches and stomach aches lasted for me for 40 years, and I don't want anyone to be stuck in that pain. And during this time, I never thought I could do what I love with whom I love and doing what I was most talented and skilled at and passionate about. You are right here, right now, because you have figured that out, or you want to, and you already are in the process of doing that. Do you feel like you are doing what you are most passionate about and what you are most skilled at? I was scared to do that. And in entrepreneurship, it shows up more and more, that scary feeling and that feeling of fear, because fear never really goes away. What I was most scared about in my life is what I personally needed most, which was becoming a mother. And in your business, typically what you need to do most, or even in life, what we need to do most is what we fear most a lot of the time. Therefore, we have doubt, we procrastinate, or we just give up without having that breakthrough happen. Until I was 31, I told myself I never want to be a mom. And I also told myself I never want to be a wife. But I needed these things in order to have that will to live. At 32 years old, I brought home my firstborn child from the hospital, and I looked down at him, those tiny little toes and stick-like fingers. And I told myself at that moment, I can no longer just barely survive as being someone that was depressed and having anxiety, because another being was dependent on me to grow and thrive. And at that moment, over 10 years ago, I decided that I was no longer going to be depressed, a depressed person, and that I traded the I in my illness for a we. And that's when my journey to wellness began. And that's why I'm actually here speaking to you, because I feel like entrepreneurship and life is a journey. Health and happiness is a journey. It's not really a final destination. I'm going to share with you what I did to turn my life around and what I did in business to help me transform from a life of doubting myself to staying on track and being a very quick and efficient manifestor of my own positive energy, despite any negativity pulling me away from it. Because you might be somewhere in life or business or in a relationship that you are attached to a feeling that no longer serves you or your future self. So once I made that decision, when my son was only 2 years old, I committed to being a better version of myself, to no longer want my life to end. My son gave me meaning and purpose. The first step was, though, I decided to let go. The decision sometimes is really tough to let go of those things that we're so attached to, but usually it's something bigger than us, the universe, source, God, whatever you call it, your spirits, your angels, has another plan. Therefore, over the past 10 years, I picked up 5 traits which I never had before, and I'd like to share them with you today. And I wrote about them in the book, Pillars to Positivity, and they are easy to apply, which I hope will take you through December and into the coming year and transition you with hope and faith and optimism and empowerment. And I even started a framework and a mastermind around these 5 steps. So grab yourself a piece of paper if you're anywhere that you can write down and jot these down. And tomorrow or after this talk or after you listen to this, I would like you to implement them, because I want to give you a real takeaway that you can overcome any of that procrastination or doubt or overwhelm that you're experiencing. And I think we're all experiencing that right here, right now. So the first pillar to positivity, and I wrote about this in the Pillars to Positivity book, is persistence. I refer to persistence as consistency. Consistency is king and queen. It's what you do each and every day. It's your habits, your daily action steps, your fuel, your morning routine, reaching out to 5 prospects a day. It's writing those emails daily or posting content on social media. It's doing those things and continuing to do them and not telling yourself it didn't work out just once. Just keep doing them. My dad always likes to tell me the story of when he was a kid. He was 13 or 14, and he went to ask for a job at a local grocery store in West LA, and he got a no. And he kept going back to the grocery store asking for that job over and over and over until he got a yes. And that's exactly how business is, right? That's how statistics work. We just have to keep going and keep asking until we get that yes. The second pillar is perseverance. And I define these two pillars differently, because perseverance is what we must do when we don't persist. Because, to be honest, I don't always persist on my morning routine or the habits, but it's about not giving up. And when we stop, just pick right back up from where you started from, because a lot of the time we don't persist at what you're going to be set out to do. And then we get into this negative downward spiral, and it doesn't help us propel forward, right? And so that, for me, that idea of not persisting carried with it a lot of shame and a lot of guilt, and that filled in my desire, and I don't want that for anyone. And so that's why I'm here, just sharing these pillars and hoping that they will help you propel forward. So the third pillar is progress, and find a way to make progress in other areas of your life besides business. Other than your business, there's areas where we can foster the energy to propel. When you progress in your relationships and your health or your exercise or your weight loss, whatever it is, it flows into other areas of your life, because everything is really energy. And how I learned this was through running, long distance running. Not only did I have shame and guilt because I told myself throughout my 20s, I'm going to run a marathon by the time I was 30. And then 35 came and I still didn't run that marathon. And again, I had shame and guilt around that. But when I finally decided to commit to running that marathon, I learned great life skills. And then over those skills of persisting and persevering and just taking one foot in front of the other when it was hard and difficult and I didn't want to go out for that run and train, I just did it. And it really has helped overflow in all areas of my life to not give up. The fourth pillar is perspective thinking. Perspective thinking is the ability to reframe situations, our feelings, our emotions. I have a quick and easy framework to apply perspective thinking. It's called the ABCs. And the A is an adversity, and such as a negative circumstance, a negative feeling, a negative emotion. And it's only negative because of the B, which is your belief around that adversity, creating the C, which is your consequence. And if you aren't producing the C, the consequences, results in your life, then it's time to move on to the D, which is detach and let go. You can evaluate that and reframe it with this tool of gratitude. Gratitude is the antidote to really anything. There's so much research behind gratitude. It influences higher levels of serotonin, and it increases your mental and physical well-being, especially in this time of December 2020. There's so much that we are missing out on, but there's also so much that we can be grateful for. Will allow you to let go of what's not working and lean into what is. The fifth pillar of positivity, the last pillar, is patience. And I know this is the last one that I adapted in my life. And I think in this world of instant gratification, it's hard to exercise patience. In the book, Atomic Habits by James Clear, I highly recommend this book if you haven't read it. I've read it 3 times because habits is always an area I'm working on through that first pillar of persistence. He refers to a model of plateau of latent potential. In this model, there's a point of time called the Valley of Disappointment. This is where you might find yourself without results in your life or your business, or waiting for that perfect client to come, or waiting for that consistent income revenue, and you just want to give up. We often think that results are linear, and they're not. A lot of the time we put in the time now and we don't see the results, so we want to give up. You launch the program, or you start the business, or you start the diet plan or the exercise, and you don't see results right away. But results are not linear. The results and the things that we do and you are applying today are going to be contingent on exercising patience. because sometimes what we do now doesn't really show the results for years to come. I don't want to discourage you at all with this. I want to support you. And applying these pillars will be supporting yourself with a clear and concise and honest assessment. And really, that's where growth and magic happens. I support my clients with these pillars in a weekly accountability group, and I hope that you can write down the 5 pillars and see where you're at in your life. The first one being persistence, perseverance, making progress, perspective thinking, and patience. But to be honest, sometimes you need a little bit of extra support. While you are sitting in that, quote, valley of disappointment, how do you manage that? Therefore, I decided to create this 5-step process, what we do while we're waiting in that period of patience and while we're not seeing all the results come to us. It's the time of patience or lack thereof when the past and future start robbing the energy from our present moment. Remember the idea that emotions are just residual energy from the past? This is where anxiety and overwhelm and doubt come from. So I went ahead and I want to share with you the 5-step process. It begins with awareness. Just realizing you maybe aren't applying one of those 5 pillars is a great first step. The next step is intention. Living life with intention each and every day. Focusing on what you can control. I know in a few of my circles and groups, we share a word of the day. You've heard of the word of the year, right? I think now is the perfect time to think of the word of the year for 2021, but also breaking it down into having words of the day, because it can draw our focus and attention into what we can control in the moment. And what we do have, because there is so much more that we do have versus we don't have. And it's just shifting that like 2 millimeters and just intentionally picking your thoughts and feelings and emotions, which will charge you instead of drain you. The third step is about visualizing. This is so powerful. Having a clear vision for the year ahead, 5 years ahead, 10 years ahead. This is where you are going to be propelled forward instead of just waiting for things to happen. Having a clear destination comes along with visualizing what the future looks like. Get crystal clear. I know that vision boards help with this, meditations help with this, and there are several ways that you can just take this time in the next few weeks maybe towards the end of this year and get really clear what it looks like. The next step is planning and accountability. And this is where a lot of my programs support entrepreneurs, get yourself a 30, 60, 90-day plan, because having the grand vision is great, but also we want to have that clear plan for the day, the 30 days, the 60 days, the 90 days. Get yourself a coach or an accountability group. Put yourself around other people that are making progress too, and that can hold you accountable. And the 5th step is really what I wanted to focus on here today is letting go. It is a constant process. It's not a one-stop shop of letting go. When you let go of one belief, there is usually another one riding on its coattail, right? If you've gone through some of your own limiting beliefs, you'll realize that there's usually another one. Something different with my coaching style is that I do use a lot of positive psychology, optimism, and positivity and manifestation. It is a lifestyle. It's something we have to work on every single day, letting go. So therefore, you can build this into your daily routine. Whether you are starting out and you don't know the how, or you've been in business for years, there's always more work to be done in the future. But we must let go of the things that are no longer serving us. You may be pivoting in the year ahead, or you want to do something new, right? Each new level, I say, brings up a new level of doubts. And those doubts require letting go and leaning into faith, because fear is always there, but so is faith. I just want to share with you a little bit about one of my experiences with working with a client. And she had like 4 or 5 or 10 projects and businesses actively going. And she wasn't generating a steady stream of income. So we took an assessment and how I could best support 30, 60, 90-day plan. And we picked one thing she could work on moving forward. And even though she was a very successful entrepreneur, she still needed help. She realized that she had so many things on her plate that it was actually preventing her from having that really steady stream of income. Because sometimes we think if we do more, we're going to earn more. But it doesn't always work that way. Sometimes when we do less, we can achieve more. And working through thoughts, feelings, and emotions sometimes are that process of realizing what thought and what emotion is going to help me now. How often do you have faith in yourself to produce a different result with your current circumstance? How often are those memories of the past just replaying in your head? Find one thing you can let go of today. One doubt that is weighing you down, like an anchor at sea, like that chronic stomach ache that I had every day before I went to school. If you have any negative thoughts that are showing up in your life, you know it's not just going to help your future self, but it's going to help you right here, right now, today. I created a group called the Pillars to Positivity Pod, and it's called the pod because dolphins represent peace, harmony, and intelligence, and exactly what the group does. And if you need help, if you need to find what is deep down inside of you to dissolve, to work through, to enhance your overall well-being, your life is contingent really on letting go and leaning into the things that are going to propel you forward, which is intention and awareness and visualizing and planning. Because without it, we're going to be always stuck in the past. Are you doing it alone? Are you doing it together? Are you doing it with a group? Sometimes you don't need more. You need to do what you need to remove what really isn't serving you. I'd love to help you find just one way to persist at, to persevere, to make progress, to perspective think, and to exercise patience. If it's just one thing, then that's a great place to start. I would love to invite you into listening to my podcast and to following me on social, on Instagram at Keri Faith on Purpose. It's the same name as my podcast. It's Keri Faith on Purpose. And living in pain and fear is no longer an option. It doesn't have to be. Letting go will really set you free. And I just want to let you know that those chronic stomach aches and chronic pain, chronic headaches are no longer with me, because I really just leaned into my full potential, which was Keri Faith. And I just want to remind you to always, always, always carry faith that you can and will live a happier and healthier life. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Keri. That was very, very insightful. Thank you for being transparent about some of the challenges you were faced with, all the way from early childhood as a 3-year-old standing at that door, not wanting to go to school, up through the breakthroughs, the personal breakthroughs that you've had, and some insight on that. I want to say that I want to ask the ladies here a couple of their takeaways, but one of my takeaways is the fact how important it is to really have, because we can sit here and say, we want, just have faith, or just get over it, or just figure it out. You'll be fine. Okay, but how? how do we set that in motion, right? So those are some of the things that some of us are, are challenged with. So I love that. I love the reiteration of having the short-term plans and goals to help get to the miles that, those little goals are milestones once they're reached too. But to help get to that bigger goal, we need to have that accountability, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, because at those points too, when we're able to see, oh, we made it an entire 30 days, and there's a reward in that, in every pillar or milestone that happens. So I like the fact that you just kind of reminded us of that, how important those short-term goals are in conjunction with the long-term goals. So that was one of my big takeaways.
Thank you for reiterating that. And also, I think it's really important that we celebrate, right? Celebrate
Exactly.
just really how far we've come to this point.
Yeah. Anybody else have any takeaways they would like to share?
Well, I have 3 pages of notes. Thank you so much. It was a blessing. No, I loved it. I wrote almost word for word, but I've always had, that was one of my sayings, my mantras was have faith over fear, and just hearing you talk about it today really helped me a lot, especially since, I do many things. And sometimes, as busy women entrepreneurs and with everything else we have going on in our lives, personal lives, relationships, all of that, we need to be reminded, and make sure the faith stays before the fear. So anyway, thank you, Keri. I'm going to follow your podcast for sure.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I really enjoyed the word of the day. So I have a word of the year, but I never thought about doing a word of the day. I thought that was brilliant. I absolutely love that. I mean, I got so much more, of course, from this, but I just really never even thought of that. So I just loved it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's really helped me. I think that even it was introduced in my book club, like, let's pick a word of the day. So now we have a group of people in a group chat and we just write the word down. And because we get so overwhelmed throughout the day, it's like, what was that word of the day? And I think mine was strength today, because sometimes doing new things, we need to rely on our strength. And you can even repeat the word, but it really keeps that focus into, okay, don't get lost in the overwhelm and everything that's going on in the external world. What's that word? It really helps with that intentional living.
I love it. Thank you.
Dolores or Tosh, do you guys, are you able to share anything right now that you would like to share? I know that they've got some other things going on. But okay, well, thank you so much, Keri. I really appreciate it. And we all appreciate you being here today and sharing that with us. Definitely gonna look your podcasts up and your Instagram and social media accounts. And don't hesitate to reach out. Let us know when you have your workshops coming up and your mastermind series coming up, things like that. We'd love to get it out there and advertise and let some other ladies be blessed, with that information and education. For me, we do want faith over fear, because we are not able, if we're paralyzed by fear, we're not able to move forward in our journey. And so knowing that we can have education is key, because when we're educated, it helps eliminate that fear. And so I really believe this is fully part of that, being educated and insight from others who've been through it, who can give the testimony of, this is what I went through and this is how I've overcome and this is how I'm moving forward. So all very relevant and great. Thank you so much. Again, I'm Jennifer House, certified life and business coach, chair of Empower Hour, Solano County. I'm also the regional director for the Tapestry Network for Solano County. Same thing, just recent author, lots of stuff going on, mom, all kinds of balls in the air, exciting things, moving forward. I didn't give my big wow for December. I'm so busy talking about the Boys and Girls Club. The big wow I wanted to give for my December is that I was hired about 6 months ago from as a contracted business advisor for Solano County, and I just recently finished up all my paperwork this last week. I am now officially the business advisor for Sonoma and Napa county, small businesses for the 2 counties. So I'm super excited. It's a blessing. God has just opened up so many doors in my life for me to be able to work at my own pace, fully just blow up in a good way, my own coaching business through this. And it has just been, I've just stepped away from corporate world of 18 years of being in that industry. And finally, after the last couple of years of having my certification as a coach, finally being able to utilize it in a way that I feel God really has put on my heart to do. And it's just helping these small businesses develop, but more focused on women in business and development all over 3 different counties. So it's just been a blessing. That was my wow. Sorry, I forgot to share that, but that was my wow. Thank you. Anything anybody else wants to share really quick before we say goodbye? We're good. Thank you so much for joining us. Facebook Live, thank you so much for those of you who are watching. Every second Wednesday of the month, we are right here at noon, here to support you, ready to embrace you, welcome you into our network. It doesn't cost you anything to come and join us, to be a part of this, just this, I want to call it this ministry of education and business and women who are here to support and encourage and empower one another. So reach out to any one of us on here. Let us know if we can help support you. And again, Keri, thank you so much for being here. We're glad to have you. If you would like to send some information maybe to Stephanie about specifically on some specials you're running, some things you have coming up, then she can put it out on blast on our social media sites. And then if you have anything coming up in January or February, I'm currently working on adding to our newsletter for January. So let us know. We'll see if we can't get you a plug in there as well.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, ladies.
Bye,
Thank
ladies.
you. Bye.